Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to Life from the Wrist. Hope you guys are having a good week. If you did not see our video that we released on Monday, Time and Tide, which is an Australian watch blog, is holding an online auction where they are auctioning off some watches, and all of the money that is raised during that auction, 100% of it is going to go to fight the bushfires that are occurring in Australia. If you did not see that video, be sure to check it out. If you aren't aware about the auction, go check out the auction because there could be a watch that you might be interested in. I really wanted to draw attention to this auction because of the impact that these wildfires are having on the ecological aspects of Australia, but also the fact that this is the type of auction that you should really be involved in if you are looking to purchase a watch, because this is going to have a lot more of an effect than just you enjoying the watch that you end up purchasing. So check out that watch auction. Also, if you wouldn't mind liking that video and sharing it with some people, every dollar that I make off of Google ad revenue from that video, I'm going to end up sending to help assist fighting these bushfires. So every dollar that I make on that video really is going a long way. I really want to have some type of, I really want this channel not to just be about watches and us enjoying these materialistic things that oftentimes, you kind of get caught up in. I want these watches I want to be able to use watches to actually impact a lot of other things, and this is a perfect example of something that we can do. So please go like and share that video. Today we're going to be discussing another common question that I get, and that's understanding complications. A lot of times complications are something that seem kind of unattainable for those who are first getting into watches. There's a lot to learn, a lot to understand. And so I thought what we would do is we'd kind of walk through some of the complications that you can find in a watch. And the first one that I'm going to be doing is the chronograph. This is actually one of my favorite complications. I think it's one of the most interesting complications. It's actually, from a technical aspect, when you ask watchmakers what is the hardest complication to actually master, it is actually the chronograph. I own, just looking at my wrist right now, I own this memo sail, which is actually a yacht timer that utilizes a chronograph function in order to count down the 10 minutes before a boat race starts. So I'm wearing a chronograph right now. I'll explain everything, how it works, kind of using this memo sail. So like I said, we're going to kind of explain it. So a chronograph is basically a specific watch that is used as essentially a stopwatch. It is used to time whatever you want, really. The term chronograph is actually Greek. It comes from the word Khronographos, which literally means time recording. Just to give you a little bit of history about the chronograph, the first chronograph was actually made by a legendary watchmaker that we actually discussed in a video. I'll be sure to put a link in the description to this. His name was Louis Monet. The first chronograph was produced in 1816. It was made for astronomical equipment, and it's actually a stopwatch. It looks like a stopwatch in a pocket watch form. That was actually the first chronograph that was ever produced. Then in 1915, Gaston Breitling made the first center seconds chronograph with a 30 seconds counter. This is where you see those little sub-dials on a chronograph. This was the first time that one of those sub-dials was actually utilized for a 30-minute counter. All watches were also mono-pusher chronographs at that time. And then in 1923, Gaston Breitling made a two-pusher chronograph, which is obviously a leap forward to a lot of the designs that we have now, namely in things like the Daytona, the Monaco, a lot of the Breitlings that are currently around, the Navitimer. So two-pusher chronographs kind of came about during that time. Just to kind of show you how a chronograph works, if you look at this watch right now, you can see that there is a top pusher and a bottom pusher. This is the two-pusher chronographs that I was speaking of. So in order to stop a chronograph, to start a chronograph, typically what's going to happen is the center seconds hand, which is actually the chronograph hand, is going to be facing the top of the watch. So in order to start it, what you do is you press the top button, and that will start the seconds hand turning. So you can see the center seconds hand is currently running right now. Let's say you want to stop the chronograph because you've completed timing whatever you were timing, making your toast, the walk that you were going on, anything really. What you're going to end up doing is pressing the top button again. This will end up stopping the chronograph hand, like I did right now. So you can see it stopped. And in order to start it again, because these are mechanical pieces, you can actually just press the top again and the chronograph hand will continue to run. Let's say I want to reset this. So say I've completed timing and I want to just put the chronograph hand back to the top of the watch. What you end up doing is you stop it by pressing the top and then you press the bottom button, and that will reset the chronograph hand to go to the top. So that's kind of how a chronograph functions. The chronograph complication is obviously running off of, the majority of the time it's running off the same mainspring barrel that is actually powering the watch and keeping time for this watch. So if you continuously have your chronograph running, it's going to be sucking some of the power out of what you're actually doing, which is keeping the time. So your power reserve will probably end up going down a little bit if you continuously run your chronograph. A lot of chronographs actually have this thing called a tachymeter or tachometer bezel around on the watch, which allows you to actually calculate speed based on travel time. So what you end up doing is, let's say you know how far you're actually traveling. So let's say I'm traveling, for those in the US, I'm traveling 1 mile. I can start my chronograph, traveling in a car, and I can start my chronograph at 0, and then once I get to 1 mile, I can stop it. And the tachymeter around the outside of the bezel will tell me how fast I'm actually traveling. So that's a really cool feature that chronographs often have. There are some different variations of chronographs that you should also be aware of. There's a type of chronograph called the Flyback Chronograph. This is basically a chronograph where you can reset it at any time. You don't actually have to stop it and then reset it. What you can do is you can start the chronograph by pressing the top button and then press the reset button. And what will end up happening is wherever the chronograph hand is, it will pop back up to the top of the to 0 or 60 seconds, and it will continue to run without you having to start it. So you can run your chronograph, reset it, it will pop back up to the top and continue to run. So this is a really cool feature that is used, it's called a flyback chronograph. The next type of chronograph that you should be aware of is called the rattrapante. This is basically a chronograph with multiple seconds hands. So instead of just having 1 seconds hand that is running for your chronograph, you can actually have multiple. So a lot of the times you see 2 hands. And these 2 hands are started and stopped at, independently, so they don't rely on each other in order to be started or stopped. It's a very cool function. There's a really beautiful Rolex rattrapante that has 2 hands. It's John Goldberger or Oro Montanari has one of these, so it's absolutely beautiful and extremely rare, but really, really beautiful. So that's the chronograph. It's actually a lot simpler than you really probably thought. It's essentially just a stopwatch that's added onto the movement of a watch. I hope this was helpful. Let me know of any complications that you might want me to discuss in other videos. I'll be happy to make those for you. If you are new to the channel, please go check out the video that we released Monday. I know I said it in the beginning of the video, but please go check it out. I really want this auction to do as well as possible. I want as many people to know about this auction as possible, so please go and check it out if you aren't aware of it. Also, if you are new to the channel, be sure to like this video if you haven't. Also, if you like videos about watches, we create them every single week, so be sure to subscribe to our channel. It really does help us out. You know, if you have any topics that you want us to cover, also let us know of those, because we want to make sure that we're creating videos for you that you're going to enjoy. I try to read every single comment that is posted on our videos, because I really want feedback in order to improve the channel so that you guys enjoy it. So if you have any feedback, be sure to move in the comment section, but please be nice. Constructive criticism is always an important part of doing something like this, and obviously I enjoy it in my life, so give me some constructive criticism if you have any. That is the chronograph. Let me know of complications that you want us to cover in subsequent episodes of this series. And with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time.